A long time ago, in a galaxy far away, two nerds set out to make a show. This is that show.
Hi guys, I'm Shawn, Jedi Master Bender.
And I'm Kai, Sith Lord VonDoom.
And today's show is gonna be amazing. So for first on the list of topics, we have a question, which is who was the best Joker? Do you have any outlook on that, Kai?
All right, I have to divide my answer into two parts because, first of all, I have to say if we're including animated Jokers, Mark Hamill is untouchable. When I read the comics, I pretty much read it in Mark Hamill's voice. He's the Joker to me. I grew up watching the Batman cartoon in the 90s, and so to me, he's just always been the Joker that I've had. But I can't deny Jack Nicholson as the Joker. He's a phenomenal actor already. The face, like his smile, is just what I see when I think of a live action Joker. I think the Batman movies he was in are grossly underrated, and he just did such a good job. I just feel him being so sadistic. He's really good at playing sadistic roles.
I mean, I can see that he was good, and they're all good. Like I can't say any one of them had any weak points, even down to the animated. Like you said, Mark Hamill's voice acting was just exceptional. It was real good. But um, Jack Nicholson's role, I think he played it with old school acting style. And so there's some stuff that you could say is like left to be desired. It wasn't completely modern day method. So if you're gonna talk about, it depends on what elements you're talking about in the acting, because I think there's different elements to acting that make an actor good or great. But definitely the newest Joker at the time of this, the Joker movie, Joker with what's the man's name? Skinny guy.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix, one of the great actors, of course, from Gladiator and everything. I think that what he did was just exceptional. But I still don't consider him my personal favorite, or like who I think did the best. For me, that's gonna have to be Jared Leto. Um, just because of how much preparation he did in there, and people on the cast, they said they were like creeped out when he was doing in character. Like it actually freaked him out how he was acting. It's kind of like, I think he went in almost as deep as that Pennywise actor did when he was on the set of it. Like that, those were just two. They like filled the role. Now, of course, there's no weak Joker, because even Heath Ledger, R.I.P., did amazing. They said that he really inhabited the role and everything like that. But the Jared Leto one, it was like he was in such few scenes, and it left you wanting so much more. I really want to see what he would have did, but I can't say that, given that he didn't have too many scenes, that I can actually say that he's the best. But he had the most potential. If you're going to look at the best, it either is between Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger. But I think the study of mental health in the Joker movie was so accurate. It didn't feel forced. It didn't even feel like he was acting. It felt like he was living his day-to-day life. The camera angles that they chose, I just think it was a well-directed movie. And some of the elements to where it felt confusing is kind of like how I think it would feel if you were actually in his shoes. So you got to experience the life of the character in a way that made a lot of sense. And yeah, so definitely it's between those two.
I kind of wish the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, I kind of wish that had nothing to do with the Batman franchise, because to me it was such a good movie. It was so well acted, but it just didn't feel like the Joker to me.
Yeah.
Now, going back to what you said about Jared Leto, I cannot let that go unaddressed because he was horrible. That man was driving around in a purple Lamborghini. That's not the
It's
Joker.
fly.
Like, Jared
That's so
Leto's
fly.
just a weirdo. That's why he creeped out everyone on the cast.
Yeah, it's true. If you're asking comic closeness to the comics, definitely you can't necessarily say that, except some versions of the Joker are written a lot like that Joker. So he did inhabit those versions, but the OG original Joker and stuff, he didn't inhabit the best. But I think that his dedication to the character made him one of the better actual actors on the list. Like if you see him in other stuff and everything, he's just incredible. Of course, that can be said for pretty much all of them. I thought his performance had so much potential.
Well, we'll see when the Snyder cut of Justice League comes out because he's apparently in it for some unknown reason.
Why doesn't he ever just release a movie as the movie? He always has like the director's cut.
Because the movies suck, and then when people complain, he's just like, nah, you just got to see the director's cut.
What other director does that? Imagine if we went to go see the new Star Wars and then Rian Johnson's like, oh yeah, but there's a director's cut, which actually I think would be amazing if The Last Jedi had a director's cut and it was like some exceptional film. That'd be really cool. But yeah, no, imagine if other directors did that. They're like, this is the Titanic, but there's the director's cut. That director's cut goes crazy. Even they do it on good movies, like I said, Titanic or something, like Lord of the Rings. You're watching Lord of the Rings and you're into it and you're all into the characters and everything. And they're like, but wait, there's a director's cut. You watch the director's cut and it's like a
cut of Lord of the Rings.
That, and then that would be crazy. A director's cut for everything. Yeah, those movies are long. And they come out like they were released every 3 years or something, and I think they were filmed simultaneously. And that's crazy because like they were so good, you just wanted to like leave watching the first one and go watch the second one. You did not want to wait for another one. Man, those movies were crazy good.
Yeah, I haven't seen a fantasy movie on the level of Lord of the Rings since those movies came out.
Yeah. Have you seen Stardust? It wasn't on the level of Lord of the Rings, but I think that's what it's called, where like the stars are people, and they fall into this land, and it's over. Well, there's like a wall dividing the real world between the fantasy world, and they're like farmers or something. And then this guy wants to impress a girl, and so
is that the one that the actor from the Daredevil show was in? I can't think of his name.
John. I don't remember his name, but I know who you're talking about. The main character.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think he was in there. He may have been, but I don't think so. It was Robert De Niro, and he was like in a dress. Like that was his character. Was like he liked wearing dresses and stuff in secret, but he was like a pirate called Shakespeare because he shakes a spear. There was a lot of little funny. Yeah, definitely go watch that movie Stardust. It's a great one. But it's not like on the level of Lord of the Rings, but it's in another way. It's like a cheeky nod. It's like a cute movie. But okay. So you would say Jack Nicholson, and I would say probably Joaquin Phoenix would be my final. That's who I think was the best Joker. So another question. If you were in the Harry Potter universe, which house do you think that you'd be sorted into?
Definitely Slytherin.
Slytherin?
Yeah.
I would say that I would probably be sorted into Slytherin, but I want to say ego-wise that I would probably do a Harry Potter move and say put me in Gryffindor, because I wouldn't want to be seen as a bad guy or whatever, and I want to be like the hero, and that's where all the heroes are from is Gryffindor. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Ravenclaw or whatever, but Slytherin and Gryffindor are the GOAT houses.
Yeah, I think I see the Slytherins less as villains and more intelligent, cunning, all the things people would obviously say about themselves. But like you said, Gryffindor is more heroic, so everyone's going to sort themselves into either Gryffindor or Slytherin.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say I see you more as a Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff. Oh man, that's so sad. Hufflepuffs are the weakest one. They're not even good at magic.
They're loyal.
True. Yeah, no, I think you were right when you said Slytherin. If I was a Sorting Hat, I'd put you in Slytherin, but not for the evil reasons, but for the you have like a dark side, so I think you'd fit in there. I think you could be around all those gothic people and not be out of place too much. But your sense of humor, I think Gryffindor, not Ravenclaw, they're kind of like Slytherin a little bit. Maybe you could be with me in Hufflepuff. What's a Harry Potter character that you kind of relate to, or like what? Who was your favorites?
I think I relate to Hermione. I was definitely a lot like her in school. I was always a straight A student, correcting everybody else, being kind of obnoxious. So I definitely see myself as a Hermione.
Hermione. I would say maybe Draco because he was so smart and he was like crazy good at magic. But I think more like Neville, to where people thought he was slow, and then come to find out he's like one of the top tier people in the community. And people liked him. Like, even it seemed like the Slytherin people didn't mess with him too much. I mean, of course, everybody messed with him, but like they didn't like hate him. Like he just was a likable guy. So
Yeah,
maybe
Neville was kind of
Neville.
under the radar,
Mm-hmm.
which could be a good thing.
Yeah. But I wouldn't be getting punked by my friends, I don't think so. See what else we have on these list of topics, and I think that was a good one. And you guys watching, let me know what house that you think you'd be sorted into and what character that you think you can relate to best. Okay, and here's a really good one. So they've already had in Mortal Kombat, they've had like Freddy Krueger, they've had and they were like talking about getting Shaggy and stuff like that. Did they?
No, they didn't.
Okay. So I haven't played the newest one that much, so I'm not sure. I didn't get down to the DLC level and stuff. I need to catch up. I just haven't been. I've been more focused on movies and shows than video games that much recently. But yeah. So what do you think would be a really good like DLC guest character to bring into the game?
So I've always wanted to see Ash Williams from the Evil Dead series. He has so much potential for really amazing fatalities. He has a chainsaw for a hand. He could summon demons with the Necronomicon. He fits into that kind of horror-ish themes that they have in the Mortal Kombat universe. He already jumps in between different realms, which is another recurring theme in the Mortal Kombat universe. So he'd fit in really well. And in Mortal Kombat 11, they've had a lot of 80s movies characters as guest characters. They've had RoboCop, they've had the Terminator, they've had Rambo. So I think he would kind of fit into what they already have going on.
For me, I would. There's a few, but like I think Voldemort, in a sense, would have some cool game fighting characteristics. I think he'd make it interesting. Guest character, the magic element is always fun to play with if you know the combos, and that's the part that always throws me off about Mortal Kombat. I like button mash. I don't know what your approach is, but I button mash, and then every once in a while when I'm losing, I go check the move list, and then I'll try a couple of the moves that I see on there. But for the most part, I just like press the kick and punch in different orders. But yeah, if you can learn the character's actual moves and stuff, I think Voldemort would be a crazy interesting one. I think that Wolverine would be fun, like against those Mortal Kombat characters. Seeing him against Baraka alone would be a fight worth watching, especially if they gave him some slight healing factor. That would be cool if the mechanics and everything were right. Yeah, he'd be a crazy. I think he'd tear up the Mortal Kombat universe. But who I'd like to see, if they did it right, would be Rick and Morty. I think that'd be crazy in that universe, like using the teleport gun to teleport behind somebody, and then like just whipping out some kind of an invention. Like you press a series of buttons and he pulls out an invention that does something cool. I think that'd be awesome.
What kind of fatalities would they have?
What kind of fatalities would Rick and Morty have?
Yeah.
Oh, those would be the craziest ones. He'd like portal gun somebody, and then like right when their head goes through the portal, he'd turn it off. Something like that. I think that'd be sick.
I'd like to actually see the Mandalorian in Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yeah.
They currently have Aaron Black, who is kind of like a cowboy type of character, and nobody else in the game really matches his energy. There's no one who really uses guns and weapons like that in the same way that he does. And The Mandalorian, when you really think about it, is kind of a Western. So I think
Yeah,
Mando and Aaron Black would really fit
that's
in
what that's what
together.
they explicitly say is that Mandalorian is supposed to be like a space western. Well,
Yeah.
Star Wars in general is supposed to be a space western, but
Yeah.
Mandalorian more exclusively is supposed to be like a western. Um, what elements? Obviously, the gun draws, like the draw offs, but what else make gives it that feel? Because when I watch it, I feel that way. Like this is like a old school like western, like cowboy hats and stuff, but like in space. But why does it feel that way?
I think it's the idea of this lone gunman who was that's a big theme, especially in spaghetti westerns, which are westerns directed by Italian directors. So a lot of the old Clint Eastwood stuff, the good, the bad, and the ugly, if you watch that movie, it feels just like The Mandalorian. So you have this lone gunman traveling through these desert terrains on a singular mission. He doesn't speak that often. And actually, Pedro Pascal obviously is the actor who plays Mando, but in a lot of the stunt scenes, a lot of the fight scenes, it's actually John Wayne's grandson who plays it. So he's probably drawing on a lot of his father's acting. So it feels just like an old John Wayne Western movie.
I actually didn't know that about John Wayne's grandson playing him for the stunt. That's really cool. Are they around the same height? Because I think Pedro Pascal is like around 6 foot. I think we looked it up. He's like 6 foot, and the Carl Weathers dude is like 6'2".
John Wayne was 6'4".
He was 6'4".
Yeah, which I did
Wow,
not know that.
I didn't know
But
that either.
so yeah, I think his grandson is about 6 foot something.
Wow, that's interesting. I think the music choices, how it's like, it's not like traditional Star Wars music, but like you'll hear like flutes and stuff. I think that adds to the Western element, and then some of the character interactions, like they have ships, and there's some ship battles, which I think would be like when they chase each other on horses. It feels kind of like that. They don't have like shot the way they decide to shoot stuff. It feels like they're chasing each other down a lot, and doing maneuvers to like position themselves. And it's not like other, like if you watch Star Trek or something, how the gunfights and stuff are so integral to the plot. But yeah, so I think those are kind of more like horse chases than ship battles. And then when on the planets, a lot of times they're walking around, which would feel more like a western. And then the
Yeah.
shots that they pick is like from lower angles and stuff to make these characters feel larger, which is kind of decisions that they make in western movies. A lot of the camera shots and his actual, like you were saying, like Aaron Black has a vibe to him on Mortal Kombat, and he has that same similar gunslinger vibe to him. And I think that's really interesting. It's like that show's so well done.
It is. It's such a
Have
good
you
show.
seen the latest episodes?
I'm one episode behind.
Oh, there's one plot point, you got to watch it, because they casted certain characters exactly how I wanted them to. It's crazy.
Damn, I want to watch it now.
Yeah, definitely. Like as soon as you can, go take a look at that. Um, but speaking of casting, how do you think that they are going to recast, or who do you think is going to get cast in the Black Panther role?
Well,
What do you think is going to happen there?
I think since Black Panther 2, they have to pretty much start filming that now. I think Shuri is going to take on the mantle of Black Panther, which does happen in the comic books. So it would be comic book accurate and they wouldn't have to upset people by recasting Chadwick Boseman. But I can't see them having just a female Black Panther for this long. So I think they will somehow replace Chadwick Boseman's character, but not have him be, the same character, but just have another man who takes up the role of Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's going to be someone already established in the Marvel universe.
So you don't think Killmonger will get it? Because he was a really relatable villain. A lot of people could see his motivation.
That's true. That's a good point. But I can't see them taking him from being a villain to just all of a sudden becoming the Black Panther. I think there would have to be a lot in between that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right about Shuri. How controversial would it be if Peter Parker took on because he's like a scientist and stuff. Like he could fit within that realm, but how controversial would that be?
If he took on the role of Black Panther.
He uses the accent. It's like,
No, we
welcome
do
to
not want that.
Wakanda. But he's still Peter Parker, still Tom Holland. That'd be crazy. I mean, he's using the
I think
accent the whole time.
Take on Shuri's current role and become the scientist while Shuri
Yeah.
is being the Black Panther.
No, I think he's supposed to replace Iron Man because he was set as like his protege and stuff. So I think he's supposed to take on that mantle of like the leader, figurehead type character of the Avengers. Because that's kind of what he was in the comics. He was like their go-to guy for technology and stuff eventually, because you would see him all the time in like labs and stuff like that when he was an adult and he wasn't out fighting crime as Spider-Man. He was in labs and stuff. So I could see him definitely filling that mantle of being the one who suits everybody up and stuff. And kind of is, I don't know if he'd be their leader. Who do you think is going to take over as leader of the Avengers? Do you think it's probably going to be Captain America?
I think it would have to be either Captain America or Bucky, because I don't think anyone else has really put in the time. Like, obviously, Black Panther would have been the next logical step, but since Chadwick Boseman is dead, that can't happen. So I don't think Tom Holland is really old enough for it to be believable for him to be the next leader of the Avengers. There would be some few years down the line. So I think it would have to be Falcon, Captain America at this point, because he's been on the team the longest.
Oh, right. Captain America, the traditional Captain America, is out the picture too. I completely forgot about that because that happened at like the last little bit of the movie. Yeah, so maybe Falcon, but Thor was a leader on Asgard.
That's true. I don't think Thor can handle the pressure, because even if you look at the last Avengers movie, he got all depressed and then just like didn't want to fight after they lost to Thanos. So he can't handle pressure well enough to be a leader of the Avengers.
And I can't think of another character outside of Captain America and Iron Man who will sacrifice themselves that willingly. Maybe Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is like a good character that he could be a leader, but he doesn't have like a big team around him. The other sorcerers and stuff, but like that's just small camp, and everybody has their small camp. If you were looking at it that way, you could say Ant-Man just as well, because Ant-Man organizes his crime syndicate and stuff like that when they're stealing.
Doctor Strange likes to play in the background.
Yeah, I do too.
Background manipulator. So
but if he was the one coming up with their game plans, he's like one of the most intelligent ones, because he was a neurosurgeon before that.
Yeah.
So he's definitely one of the most intelligent Avengers. Who do you think is the most intelligent Marvel character? Not even just taking MCU, but now they got Fantastic Four as a property, and then they got X-Men. So they have Professor X. Who do you think is probably the most brainy character?
I would say either Stephen Strange or Bruce Banner at this point.
Stephen Strange or Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner is real intelligent, and he was one of the ones who made the Ultron suit, right? And then he turned it into Vision. So yeah, that's actually, I don't think he had anything to do with Ultron. I think that was all Tony Stark, but he did have something to do with the Vision part of it.
Would Vision count? Would he be in the running for most intelligent character?
Yeah, it's who's still living. So since Vision got killed, I don't think he could count. Yeah. But I mean, Wanda and Vision's coming back. So we'll see what happens there. But if Vision, say you included everybody that's living and dead, my case would still be on either Mr. Fantastic or Shuri.
Yeah, I think it's between Strange, Bruce, or Shuri for me.
Yeah. Shuri's like so smart, but and like you can tell by their dialogue, one of the most intelligent ones was Iron Man, because his dialogue is like exactly how really intelligent people make jokes. Like when you read stuff about Albert Einstein, he would make little quips, and they were just like real funny non sequiturs, kind of like Iron Man. And so I think that that's a sign of intelligence. So if you're basing it on the way they talk and then also what they've done on screen, Mr. Fantastic isn't in the MCU yet. So I haven't seen how his character develops in the MCU. But definitely I would put it between Iron Man and Shuri. But Bruce Banner's pretty smart. I just think that because they're doing technical stuff. And then Doctor Strange is a good one because he's doing neuroscience. So that's real into the small scale and stuff like that and running numbers and things. But I think that because they had Shuri trying to reprogram Vision after it took all those people to make Vision, she was the one who was able to reprogram him. I think she's the smartest character in Marvel.
I think definitely the education in Wakanda and the technology they have is far above anything that even Tony Stark or Bruce Banner or any of them would have had access to. So I think Shuri has to be a lot more intelligent than them. And I think when you level intelligence, I think Doctor Strange, before he became Doctor Strange, he was already a neurosurgeon, and then having access to the time stone and everything, it gave him a lot more foresight. He was able to see so many different timelines, just have access to knowledge that no other human would have access to.
He is the character you see reading the most, so that's a good point. And Shuri, that also what you were saying about the technologies that they have and stuff, but they have it's not called vibranium. Vibranium's what's on Captain America's shield. What's their element called?
Yeah, it is vibranium.
It is vibranium? Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, then they have vibranium. And that is a otherworldly substance. So I think when you're working with that, it's like when you go into a Call of Duty game with aim assist, like it just makes things a little bit easier. So I don't know if that's a good indicator or not. It could, I mean, because of what they were able to do with that substance could prove that she is much smarter than everybody else around her by far. But also Tony Stark was working with like human elements and making these incredible things. So I don't know if they were to sit down and play chess, I don't know who would win. But so taking the mental out of it, I guess you would want that because Iron Man as a character is much like if Iron Man was to fist fight Captain America, Iron Man would die instantly. He would one punch, he'd be out of there. But so if you were to take all the elements into it, what do you think are the power levels? Like, who do you think if they were to all go rogue and fight each other, who do you think would come out on top of that battle royale?
Obviously the Hulk.
The Hulk, you think, would come out on top of the battle royale when Iron Man has his Hulkbuster suit?
I think so. I think either the Hulk or Thor.
I think maybe Professor Hulk, because he's a combination of Bruce Banner with the strength of the Hulk. I think that might tear it up because he can think almost on the level of Tony Stark, but then he's real hyper strong. But I think that if he had access to that at all times, he would have come up with some type of solution to the Hulkbuster armor because he didn't do too well against it, even though he did end up beating it. But Thor and Hulk fight, and Hulk doesn't just demolish him.
Yeah.
I mean, he did punch him out the frame like 3 times in Avengers 1, but I don't necessarily think he's like infinitely more powerful than him. But so Thor might handle the Hulk. Like that might be the fight that's going on where everybody else is fighting. And the winner of that, I think, is going to have to face somebody.
I would say Hulk, Thor, or Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange is a good one. So in Ragnarok, Thor did beat Hulk when they were having that gladiator fight. And so that, it'd be down between those two. I just think that Thor's not a thinker. He's a fighter.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who would probably come out on top if all the Marvel characters were to fight out, with the exception of like Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet or something. Because if Thanos was in there, Thanos could take Hulk because he already did. But if you were to take Thanos out and like the thing that Doctor Strange fought, Dormammu or something. The what?
Dormammu.
Yeah, Dormammu. If you were to take those villains out, I think Loki would go crazy because he thinks on a totally different way than Earth people think. He has a whole different way of trickery and doing stuff, setting up game plans, and he plays with people's emotions where Iron Man isn't necessarily into those same level of emotional manipulation and stuff like that. I think he would like fake team up with people and then betray them and do all kinds of stuff. I think Loki is a good contender for somebody who would come out of that battle royale.
I think Doctor Strange or Scarlet Witch could easily beat Loki.
You know what? Scarlet Witch, I completely overlooked her because yeah, she is somebody because of the element of magic, she could handle the Hulk.
Yeah, so I think I might change my answer to Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We haven't
We can
even
actually
seen,
agree on that. Scarlet Witch is probably gonna
we haven't seen
do.
the extent of her power really.
Yeah,
They've been underusing her for sure.
yeah. That's gonna be a good one. That fight right there between like Hulk and Scarlet Witch. But then again, Loki does have all that extra level, but I think she'll still beat him with the magic because that's part of his element too is magic, and she's just stronger at it.
Yeah, her magic is much more powerful, I think.
Why did they hype up Quicksilver so much and then just kill him off?
I was so mad at that.
I know, and they did so well with Quicksilver in X-Men, like
The
yeah, and
X
the Fox franchise, he was crazy. Like his power levels were up there. But yeah, I thought that it was surprising how powerful Spider-Man was in Avengers. When he like head kicked Thanos and like actually did some impact and stuff. Why is what's his name? The whole pretty much the whole except for Drax. Why is the Guardians of the Galaxy in the Avengers? That's like adding back in that's like adding in what's the name, Black Widow and Hawkeye. That doesn't make any sense. Like they're just all their power is jokes. That's what their whole yeah, they don't do very much. Gamora is pretty dope. She can fight pretty well. I think she could definitely beat Black Widow or something, but Star-Lord is not like there's nothing redeemable about him. His plans suck. He's he's not a good fighter. He's not even like it doesn't even say that he has like exceptional aim like Hawkeye or anything. So I don't know what his use is there. The raccoon is smart. So he has that redeeming quality. I guess he's just a good team builder. Like maybe that's his whole power is building a team, but he doesn't lead them that good. It's a real bad lower tier character.
Yeah, I think the Guardians usually just get lucky, honestly.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Avengers, they're not on the same level.
No, yeah, they were like background characters in that last fight with Thanos when everybody ran out the portals. I was like, why? I would have stayed inside the portal, honestly, if I was if I was on this level. Like I would not be out there hyped to fight. What's the blue girl's name? With the wire. Yeah, Nebula. She's actually probably one of the better people on their squad. Drax could probably beat her physically, but I think she's another brainy character. Okay, and while we're on the subject of power levels, who do you think is the best lightsaber fighter, dark side or light side, on screen in Star Wars?
I'm gonna have to go with General Grievous for that.
General
he has
Grievous?
4 arms and can expertly use 4 lightsabers at one time.
True, and he is, I think the way that his mind works, he learns these different lightsaber forms like real technical and to a T. And so he can use different forms with his 4 arms. Each arm can be doing a different form and approach and can be exploiting weaknesses. But Obi-Wan did beat him, but he ended up having to use a blaster. So I don't know if it had stayed strictly lightsabers, if Obi-Wan would have won. But Obi-Wan's definitely up there. Like he's one of the higher tier. But because he beat Darth Maul, and Darth Maul to me would have been like one of the people that I would say who's going to beat Darth Maul. Like he's so acrobatic and he does like these real aggressive. He's like a attacker. He's not defense that much. He's more aggressive. And he's a crazy good sword fighter. But then again, like the dark side is just full of them. Count Dooku was written the way he was written in the plot. He's supposed to be like, before, when he was a Jedi, he was supposed to be one of the best lightsaber duelists that exists. Like when he would go train in the Jedi temple and just practice and stuff, he'd beat pretty much everybody. He's supposed to be one of the best like sparring people. So I would say that he's up there, but like you said, he trained General Grievous, and General Grievous has his forearms, and what we were saying, that he's able to use different forms. But then of course, Anakin, you can't count out Anakin or Luke, really, for that matter, because Luke did beat Darth Vader, and in a sense he beat Palpatine. Palpatine is another one. Palpatine and Anakin, I think both their names need to be thrown in there. But can they beat Grievous? That's a good question. I think Anakin, because Obi-Wan beat Grievous, I think Anakin could have. But I mean, Anakin didn't even beat Obi-Wan. So, but Obi-Wan is another, that's back to the other conversation, that he's a thinker, how he got on the high ground in certain elements. He's a little bit more intelligent than Anakin, who's just like into emotion and trying to resist turning to the dark side all the time. Anakin's a crazy good fighter, but you know who we're overlooking a lot that needs to be mentioned? Ahsoka Tano. She's a crazy good lightsaber fighter.
Okay, really good.
She's given most of these people we mentioned a run for their money when she fights them. So I would almost say her. I don't know, because I don't know if Grievous can beat Palpatine, but if Grievous can beat Palpatine, then Grievous is definitely top tier. But I think Ahsoka can beat Grievous. Ahsoka can definitely probably beat Anakin when she's fully up and trained and everything. I think her species and stuff makes her one of the finer sword fighters. But definitely, Grievous is gonna be the one to beat, I think. What's your favorite character in Star Wars?
I would say between Darth Maul and Leia.
It is cool. And then I was like really sad with Carrie Fisher. I was like, I personally felt it. I was like, man, I was like down for a couple weeks. But my favorite character pretty much has always been Kit Fisto. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always been one of my favorites. I like him a lot. Just his aesthetic, the way he looks. And then he didn't we didn't mention Mace Windu. Mace Windu could tear a whole lot of people up with his Vapad style lightsaber fighting. He actually may be the guy, because he did beat Palpatine. I don't know if that was an act or not, but he did beat Palpatine. But yeah, what I was saying was, when they went into the office, Kit Fisto was one of the only ones who had like 2 lightsaber strokes against Palpatine before he got chopped down. But he did get chopped down, so he's definitely not on the level of like Mace Windu. But yeah, Mace Windu, because he does a semi-dark side form of lightsaber fighting, he would be one that I would say could beat a lot of people. Oh, we didn't even mention Yoda, but I think Mace could probably beat Yoda.
I think Mace could definitely beat Yoda.
Yeah.
So I would put Grievous, Mace Windu, and Ahsoka in my top 3.
Grievous, Mace Windu, and Ahsoka. Yeah. I'll put Anakin right under that, and then Darth Maul. Yeah, and then Palpatine's up there, but yeah, there's a lot of good lightsaber fighters in there. Okay, and then staying on the subject of Star Wars, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up with: do you think that Palpatine had a good plan?
Palpatine's very, very intelligent. He's very well thought out. He sees the long game in things. And I think the way he infiltrated the Senate and used his political aspirations to kind of, fuel his plan was very brilliant. I mean, it worked out for a long time. So I do think he had a good plan.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, he got his goal. He became supreme emperor of the universe. So it definitely, I mean, it wasn't a terrible plan, but relying on Anakin so heavily, I think, was a weak point in his plan. I didn't think he underestimated the fact that he would turn back to the light because he could see, and everybody could see so much dark in Anakin. That's why they didn't want to train him and stuff. But yeah, I think his plan was decent, and he picked good people to assist him. General Grievous, having General Grievous on his side, he had so many lightsabers and stuff. If you watch the Clone Wars, he just had like walls of lightsabers, so he was running through Jedi's. And then the smartest thing I think he did was having them build the clone army for the Republic, quote unquote. And then turns out that they were actually on his side. That was a crazy smart move. Like in a chess game, that was like pretty much checkmate, because that's what led to him actually becoming emperor and everything. Everything else was just leading up to that moment. But yeah, when you look at the overall game plan, and then even coming back in the sequels, having the cloning technology and stuff, and coming back in the sequels, I think just added into the brilliance of Emperor Palpatine. Like he's a crazy tactician.
Yeah, everything he did is well planned, well thought out. He's very intelligent. But like you said, relying on Anakin was definitely his weak point.
Mm-hmm. That became he became like consumed with it, to where he, even after Anakin lost a lightsaber fight, he rebuilt him into Darth Vader, which I don't know how good of a move that was, because I think he would have had less mobility and stuff. But of course, with being consumed with the dark side, Anakin did go into the Jedi Temple and walk through everybody. Could have been because it was a surprise attack, but it could also been because he was on that level of ability with the dark side. But yeah, definitely, it was a decent plan. Just that was the weak point, was relying on Anakin, not turning to the light side. But that was kind of the Jedi's plan too, was that he's supposed to be the chosen one, so they're going to train him even though he has dark in him, just with faith that he's not going to turn to the dark side. That plan was decent. But yeah. Oh, okay. I have one final question. Who do you think is the top? Who do you think is the top pilot through sequels, everything? Who do you think is the top pilot?
That's a tough one. Who do you think?
The top pilot that we saw, I think, Poe Dameron a little bit was pretty amazing. Han Solo had some crazy good technical ability. But when you saw Han Solo and Chewie flying the Falcon, it was one thing. But then when you saw Poe Dameron take over, he was like light speed skipping and doing all this cool stuff, and he would bring the Falcon back barely intact. But you knew when Poe Dameron was piloting that it was going to make it from point A to point B. And so I would say Han Solo is great, but Poe Dameron's probably above him. Then again, you have to look at the father and son of Anakin and Luke, and both of them were exceptional pilots. He did land that shot in the Death Star, and it was like a very slight chance that he would do that. He did use the Force, but so I guess the question would come down to if you're looking at Force augmented or not. If you're looking at Force included, then I think the by far the definitive person of pilot is Anakin Skywalker. But if you're looking at just on screen, who's the best pilot? I think that Doug Sebulba that he raced in the pod race, I think he's probably our best pilot that we had seen, because his species and stuff. And he had been undefeated that entire time in the pod race. And he even raced Anakin a couple of times. Of course, Anakin was like 10, but I don't know if for Star Wars, like it's like on Earth, like right now in the natural sense, when you take an IQ test, you get a higher score as a kid than an adult. So I don't know if flying ability, because his pod racer was built for him and everything, if he actually was a better pilot before or after training when he was just raw, whatever. So, but I think Sebulba, I would make a case for Sebulba.
Yeah, I think Anakin had natural ability. So I would say I would put Anakin and then Poe under him.
Yeah. That actually makes sense. Yeah, Poe is definitely up there, but I don't think he's on Anakin's level. And then Obi-Wan's just out the question. A lot of people are just out the question, but yeah, Anakin and Poe are the top humans. And then for me, that Sebulba guy, the way he was flying in his control of his pod racer, which is like a real risky thing to fly and hard to manage. He had good control of it. He might have just had a more expensive pod racer, so you never know. But that's what I would put my money on. But anyways, guys, that's been our show for today. This is Nerdity, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I'm Shawn, Jedi Master Bender.
And I'm Kai, Sith Lord VonDoom.
Have a great day, guys, and enjoy yourself.